everyone, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Please consider hitting that subscribe button because I would love to have you. In this video, I will be showing you how I make this really pretty Valentine wreath using the Zigzag Poof method. I know this tutorial is pretty lengthy, but if you want to learn how to make this Valentine wreath, then please keep watching. Okay, so I'm going to be using one of these wreath frames from the Dollar Tree. This is the 14-inch wreath ring, and I have got it wired. I've wired most of it, but I left one section so that I can show you guys how I wire the Dollar Tree wreath frames. Now, I do have a tutorial on how to wire one of these frames that goes into more detail and more depth. So if you want to go check that out, I will make sure to link it down in the description box. But just for the sake of, speeding up this video, I'm just going to show you guys just the gist of it in the one section. So I am just putting 3 pipe cleaners per section. There are 6 sections on this wreath form. And so what I do is I take 1 pipe cleaner and I take the 2 inner rings and I wire 1 pipe cleaner onto those, and I keep it sort of centered in the middle. So I will just give this 2 twists. Then I take another pipe cleaner, and on the 2 outer rings I will be wiring those 2 with 1 pipe cleaner, and I go about 1.5 to 2 inches in. So just bring up my pipe cleaner where the legs kind of are even, and then give that 2 twists. And then I take another pipe cleaner, do the same thing, wiring the 2 outer rings. So this way you will have 3 pipe cleaners per section, 1 on the inside and then 2 on the outside. Real quick here before we move on to the mesh, I do want to let you guys know that you will need a total of 18 pipe cleaners, 6 on the inside and then 12 for the outside rings. Okay, so for the base of this wreath, I'm going to be using some of this Poly Pro Mesh ribbon. This is from Hobby Lobby, but I did get it when it was 50% off. So it is regular $9.99, and I did get it for 50% off. This is the 10 inches by 10 yards. And this is, you'll only need 1 roll of this for the base. Okay, so this method is going to be a crisscross poof method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by taking the end of my mesh. I'm going to gather up the ends. So I'm just going to gather those up a little bit. Now, if you want, you can zip tie this to your wreath frame, or you can do like what I'm going to do is just go ahead and attach it in the pipe cleaner. That's up to you, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to take this end, and I am starting in this one section here. It doesn't matter which section you start in, just pick one. And I'm going to go ahead and place my mesh down in between my pipe cleaner there. And then I'm just going to secure it with a couple of twists here. Okay, so that's to get us started. So now I'm going to be doing 10-inch poofs. So to do that, I'm using my cutting mat, and I'm starting where I started with the end of the mesh here on my 10-inch line. And then I'm going to pull out my mesh all the way down to the 1-inch mark. I don't know if you guys can see that in the frame here. All the way down to the 1-inch mark, so that's 10 inches. And when I do my poofs, I like to keep the edges of my mesh kind of tucked in. That just kind of keeps it from fraying too much. So I'm going to go ahead and start here at my 10-inch mark. I'm going to pull my mesh out to get 10 inches. And then with this first poof, I'm going to be going up to this center pipe cleaner here that's right in the middle of the inner 2 rings that we wired. So that's where this poof will go. So I'll place that down in between the pipe cleaner there. And then I'm just going to secure my pipe cleaner with a couple of twists. And then I like to fluff as I go. You can wait and do this later. It's totally up to you. But I like to do it as I go along. So I'm going to go ahead and fluff out my poof here. So there is one poof. So now, since we're at the top, we are going to go back down and cross over to the next bottom pipe cleaner. Now, you will be skipping over one. I hope that makes sense. So in this first section, you have 3 pipe cleaners. You have the one in the middle and then the 2 on the outside. So we're starting on the bottom, the first one on the outside, and then we're going to the top one. And then when we come back down, we won't be going into this one in this section. We'll skip it, and we're going to hop over to the next section, the next bottom pipe cleaner. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and line this back up on my 10-inch line, and then I'm going to measure out 10 inches again. So 10 inches. And I'm going to take this poof, and like I said, we are skipping this one, and we're going to come to the next section and do this lower pipe cleaner. So I'm going to be placing my poof right here, right in between that pipe cleaner, and then giving it a couple of twists to secure it. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of pull out my poof here. So there is 2 poofs. So since we are down here, we're going back up, because this is zigzag motion, so we're going to go back up. So I'm going to go ahead and place my right here on the 10-inch line again, and then measure out to the 10 inches. Take this poof, and I'm coming back up to the center pipe cleaner here. Place that down in the pipe cleaner, and give the pipe cleaner a couple of twists just to secure that. So now I'm going to come back down, and I'm skipping this one. I'll be skipping this one and coming over to the next bottom pipe cleaner in that next section there. So place this back on my 10-inch line here. Pull out to 10 inches. Like I said, we're skipping this one and coming over to the next bottom one. I'm placing that down in between that pipe cleaner there. And then securing it with a couple of twists. Fluffing out my mesh. And I'm just going to repeat. So I'm going to go from this bottom to the top. I will be skipping this one right here, coming over to the next section, and I'll be bringing it down to the next bottom pipe cleaner, and then so forth and so on, going up and then back down, skipping every other one. Okay, so now I have come to the section where we started. So from this inner pipe cleaner here, we are going to continue doing what we were doing, where we measured out our 10-inch poofs, bring it up, and then this poof will go into the pipe cleaner of where we first started. So you're still skipping this one right here. So this one will not have anything in it. We're just going to add our poof to where we first started. So now at this point, if you want to untwist your pipe cleaner and lay this on top, you can, or I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go ahead and place this right on top of where I started. And then I'm going to secure that with 2 twists. So I hope that that made sense. So when I got around to this last section here, the inner pipe cleaner, I just grabbed my poof and pulled it over to where we first started. So then there will be a poof there. So now that we are back where we started, we're just going to continue, and we will be doing, adding the poofs in the pipe cleaners that we did not get yet. So since I'm down here, I'm going to be going back up and placing another poof in that same center pipe cleaner that's on the inner two rings. I really hope this is making sense, guys. So where I ended, I'm coming back to the 10-inch mark, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull out 10 inches of mesh here to make our 10-inch poof. So where we started, I'm going to come back up to the middle here, this inner ring here, and I'm not going to untwist my pipe cleaner. I'm leaving it twisted. I'm just going to place that poof down inside the pipe cleaner right on top of the first one, and then securing the pipe cleaner with a couple of twists there. And then I'm going to go ahead and fluff out my mesh. And then same thing from the inside here, where we just put our last poof in, I'm going to go to the 10-inch mark, and I'm measuring out 10-inch poofs again. And then this pipe cleaner that we haven't gotten to yet, the empty one, that's where the next poof will go. So go ahead and place this inside that pipe cleaner there, the empty pipe cleaner, and secure it with a couple of twists. And then I'm going to poof out, kind of fluff out my poof here. So there's that one. So now we're going to take it from the 10-inch line again, measure out another 10-inch poof. And then this one, same thing. We are still in the zigzag motion, so we will go back up across here to the center poof that we did on the inner ring. So I'm going to place my poof right there in between that pipe cleaner, and then give it a couple of twists to secure it. And then I'm going to fluff out my poof here. So essentially you're going to have two poofs that overlap each other. So I hope that this is making sense. So there is that poof. And now since we ended, I'm just fluffing this out a little bit. So since we ended here, we are going to be coming back down again, and we're going to be placing the poof in this other empty pipe cleaner that's down here. So I'm going to go ahead, place this on my 10-inch line, measure out 10 inches, and then I'm coming down to this empty pipe cleaner here. I'm going to go ahead and fluff out that poof. Okay, so there's that one. Same thing, go back to the 10-inch line, measure out 10 inches. And since I'm down here on the bottom, I'm going to be coming back up to the top. So back up to this pipe cleaner here on the top. And then I'm going to go ahead and fluff out my poof here. And then I'll do one more, and then I will proceed and finish the wreath doing this. So I'm going to move it to my 10-inch line. my 10-inch mark, pull out to make 10 inches, and then I'm taking this poof and I'm bringing it down and placing it in this empty pipe cleaner. And then I'm going to go ahead and fluff out my poof here. So there is what it's looking like so far. So I'm going to go ahead and continue around the rest of the wreath doing the same zigzag motion and making sure that when I get to that empty pipe cleaner that I do add a poof in there. So I'm going to go ahead and continue and I will be right back. Okay, so now I'm at my last empty pipe cleaner right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing we've been doing. Just add a poof to it. Go ahead and measure this out. So on my 10-inch line, 10-inch poof. And then I'm bringing this last poof to this last empty pipe cleaner. So I'm just going to place that down in there. Give it a couple of twists there, and then fluff out my poof. I'm going to go ahead and just trim off a little bit of this mesh here. So there is that. Now if you want to, you can take a zip tie, which I will probably do that. Take a zip tie and just secure the end of that mesh where you cut it, just to, you know, kind of tack it down so it's not in the way. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go ahead and get me a zip tie and secure that to the frame. Okay, so here's my zip tie. I'm just going to take my zip tie and run it up over and I want to try and keep where I'm tying this off with my zip tie. I want it really tight for one, but I want to make sure that this part of the zip tie is not on the back side because I don't want this scratching my door. So I'm just going to be moving it, making sure that it's going toward the inside of the wreath. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut that off. Okay, so next I'm moving on to this mesh. This is the Poly Pro mesh ribbon. This is 10 inches by 10 yards, and this is also from Hobby Lobby. I did get it when it was 50% off. It was regular $7.99. So I'm going to be cutting my red mesh to 18 inches long, and I will need a total of 18. So now to cut this, you can either use your scissors, a rotary cutter, or a wood burning tool. I like to use a wood burning tool for this type of mesh. It just helps to seal the ends so that they don't fray as bad. But if you don't have a wood burning tool, it's fine. You can still use just scissors or a rotary cutter. Okay, so now I have all of my red pieces cut. Next, I'm going to be making a ruffle. So to do this, I'm just going to take one of the 18-inch pieces that I cut. I'm going to unroll it from itself, and then I'm going to flip it over to where it wants to roll up underneath itself is laying down flat. So I'm going to just put something at the end just to weight it down. And then I'm going to start down here at the bottom of my little piece here. I'm going to find the center of it, and then I'm going to take my two thumbs and I'm going to place my two thumbs in the center, and then I'm just going to start kind of scrunching up the middle, pulling the deco mesh toward me just walking my fingers up through the middle. So I'm going to do this. This makes a ruffle. So once your ruffle is done, it'll look sort of like a little bow. So next I'm going to take this and I'm just going to start placing these ruffles in every pipe cleaner, in every pipe cleaner that I have. So I have 18 total pipe cleaners, so I will be placing a ruffle in each pipe cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and I've already added one here just to see what it would look like. But I'm going to go ahead and just continue on adding my ruffles. So since I put one here, I'm going to go ahead and find my next pipe cleaner. And then I will just add this into my next pipe cleaner. It's down here on the bottom. And when I'm placing my ruffles inside my pipe cleaners, now you can lay these in here any way you like. I like to place them where the finished edge of the deco mesh is facing up, going vertically, if that makes sense. I don't know why I like doing that, I just do. I feel like it kind of fills out your wreath where it needs to be filled out, making it, you know, look a little bit fuller. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and fluff out my little ruffle here that I have. This pipe cleaner end out of the way here. Now, if you wanted to save the ruffling part, you know, fluffing it out till the end, you can. I like to do it as I go. So there is my second ruffle. So now I'm going to move on and do another one. So I'm going to move my wreath form out of the way here. I'm going to grab another piece of my mesh. I'm going to unroll it where it's curled up. I'm going to uncurl it. And then I'm going to just turn it over. And I'm going to place something at the end just to weight it down. And then I'm going to come to the bottom and find my center point. And with my two thumbs at the center point, I'm just going to start scrunching up through the middle. Just kind of walking my fingers up through that mesh and then pulling it toward me. Gathering it up in the middle. So then it will look like a little bow tie. And then I'm going to go ahead, grab my wreath, and I'm just going to add this to the next pipe cleaner. And I'm just twisting the pipe cleaner a couple of times just to secure it. And then going through and fluffing out my ruffle here. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing this all the way around the wreath. Okay, so now I've finished putting all of the red mesh into the wreath. So this is what it is turning out to look like so far. So now I'm going to move on and I'm going to be making a bow for this. I'm not sure if I'm going to add me making the bow in this video or if I will have a separate video that you guys can go watch how I make a bow. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move on and start making my bow. Okay, so now I'm going to be making ribbon tails for my wreath. And the ribbon that I'm using these two 2.5 inch wide wired ribbon, and these are from the Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to be using this red and white gingham and then this red with white hearts. And then I'm going to be putting on half bows, which I'll show you what a half bow is when we get there. But I'm going to be using this ribbon, which is from Hobby Lobby. I got it during Christmas time at 50% off. And this is the 1.5 inch wide wired ribbon. I'm going to be using this red sparkly ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I do my ribbon tails. So I'm going to be using these two ribbons, and I will be cutting these at 14 inches long, and I will need 6 of the red with the white hearts and then 6 of the red and white gingham. So I'm going to go ahead and start measuring out here. So I want these to be 14 inches long. So at 14 inches, so I will need 6 of these cut to 14 inches long. And then this red and white gingham, I'm also going to be cutting at 14 inches long. So 14 inches. And I will need 6 of these also. Now I will be dovetailing each one of these. So to dovetail it, all I'm going to do is take my ribbon, I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to come down and cut at an angle from the folded edge up to the wired edge. Now depending on how deep you want your dovetail or your V, depends on how far of an angle you go. So I kind of want mine a little bit deeper than what I usually do. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to go more of an upward angle. It's more of a, I guess, kind of like a 90-degree angle. So that will give me a deeper dovetail. So I'll do that again. So I'm going to take my ribbon, fold it in half. And then I'm going to start at the folded edge and then cut up to the wired edge. So that gives me my dovetail. So I'm going to do that with all of these. So you will have a total of 12. So 6 of the red and white checked, and then 6 of this red and white hearts. So there's for that. And then for the half bows, I'm going to be using this 1.5 inch ribbon from Hobby Lobby. And since this is going to be a half bow, I'm going to need the ribbon to be about 18 inches long because I'll be folding it in half. So I'm going to measure 18 inches. And I will be cutting these. Now these I'm only going to need 6. So I'll just be cutting 6 of these to 18 inches long. And I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be dovetailing the ends. So folding my ribbon in half to form a V. Do that again. Fold it in half. Cut from the fold to the wired edge. Gives us the V. Okay, so you will need 6 of these cut to 18 inches long. So I'm going to go ahead and move on and show you guys how I add these to the wreath. Okay, so now I have all my ribbons cut that I'm going to be using. I'm just going to start alternating these, and we're putting these in the 12 outside pipe cleaners, and I will be doing every other one. One I will be doing the red and the white hearts, and then the other I will do the gingham print. So I'm just going to start off with this one, and all I'm going to do is take this ribbon, I'm going to get a better view for you guys, fold it up in half, and this is just to find where the middle of my ribbon is. So now that I found where the middle of my ribbon is, I'm just going to scrunch this together on in the middle. And then I'm going to go in, and it doesn't matter, you know, where you start, but we're just doing these outside pipe cleaners, the outside 12. So I'm going to be placing this ribbon tail down into my pipe cleaner, and then I will be securing that with 2 twists. Now I like to take my ribbon tails and I like to bring them down. So I'm going to pull this one down, and then this one right here, I like to pull them down. So there is the red and the white hearts. So the next one, I'm going to be placing the gingham print. So same thing, I'm just going to fold this in half to find my center. There's the middle. So then I'm going to pinch the middle. And then I'm going to go to my next outside pipe cleaner. I'm going to find it with all this mesh. Right here. I'm going to find the other end of the pipe cleaner there. I'll place this down in that pipe cleaner. And then I secure it with a couple of twists. And then I bring my ribbons down. I'm going to pull them down in this direction. So there's that. So I'm going to do this to the rest of the outside 12, and then I'll come back and show you how to do the half bows. Okay, so now I've got my ribbon tails going around the outside of my wreath. Next, I'm going to be taking the red sparkly ribbon, the 1.5 inch wide ribbon. This is the one that we cut to 18 inches long. This is going to be half bows. So by half bows, I mean kind of like the awareness ribbons is what this is going to look like. So all I'm going to do is take the ribbon, I'm going to fold it up to the ends for the ends to touch, so folding it in half. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave about a 2-inch loop at the top. So move this out of the way. I'm going to measure this just to see. So from 10 to 8, yeah, that's about 2 inches. So I'm going to just take this to where it's 2 inches there. And I'm just going to pinch my ribbon, gather it up through the middle there. So then it forms this little loop up here at the top. So it looks like this. Then I'm going to be placing this in the ribbon tails that have the gingham print. So I'm just going to find where that pipe cleaner is, and then I'm going to place my half bow down in the center of that pipe cleaner. Then I'm going to give the pipe cleaner 2 twists. And then I'm going to come around and I'm just going to fluff out this loop right here. I'm going to pull it out. And then my ribbon tails here, I'm just going to flare them out, pointing them kind of down and to the side. And this one, since this ribbon does have a right side and a wrong side. So here's the right side with the glitter, and then this is the wrong side. Well, I don't want this showing. I want the nice, pretty side to show. So all I'm going to do is just take that piece of ribbon and I'm just going to twist it around. That's a good thing about this having wire. I'm just going to twist it around and just straighten it up so that the right side is facing out. So then I'm just going to pull it down. Just straighten it up a little bit here. So it'll look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do another one. So I will be skipping the ribbon tails that have the hearts on there. I won't be putting a half bow in those. So I'm skipping that, going on to the next gingham, red and white gingham ribbon tails. And then I'm going to take the ribbon, I'm folding it in half. And then I'm going to come down to about 2 inches to form this 2-inch loop. So then I'm going to gather it there in the middle. And then I'm going to place it down inside this pipe cleaner here. And then I'm going to give the pipe cleaner 2 twists just to secure that. Then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fluff out the loop there. And then I'm going to straighten out my ribbon tails. So this one I'm going to pull down. And this one, since it's the wrong side is up, I'm going to just twist it around so that the right side is facing out here. So it will look like that. I'm going to go ahead and continue to do this, putting my half bows in every other ribbon tail. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I will come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so now I have all my ribbon tails and my half bows in my wreath. Next, I'm going to move on, and then I'm going to be cutting the pipe cleaners off from the inner pipe cleaners. So to do this, all I'm going to do is locate my inner pipe cleaners. There's one right here. So I'm just going to give this a couple of twists. I don't know, 3 or 4, twist it around 3 or 4 times. And since the reason why I'm cutting off the pipe cleaners is because I will not be using the inner pipe cleaners any longer. I'm not cutting the outside ones off yet because I am still going to be adding some things to the wreath. So I need those pipe cleaners. But the ones that are on the inside, I no longer need. So I'm just going to go in with some wire cutters. And I'm going to cut off my pipe cleaner. And if there is any pipe cleaner left sticking up, I just kind of want to bend that over. And then, so that is what I'm going to be doing with the inside of the pipe cleaners. So I'm going to go ahead and locate another one. So here's one right here. There should be 6. I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple of turns just to make sure it's nice and secure before I go to cut it off. Okay, get that off. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting off the rest of my inner pipe cleaners, and then I will be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to be moving on to my sign. So this is the sign that I'm going to be using. I got this from the Dollar Tree. And so what I'm going to do is, in order to attach this to my wreath, I'm going to have to glue some pipe cleaners or some sort of wire on the back. Typically, when I do add signs, if they're thick enough, I will use staples. But as you can see, this is fairly thin, and my staples will end up going through the sign, and I don't want that. So I will just be hot gluing some pipe cleaners on the back instead. So I'm just going to remove the hanger from this. And at this point, I am not too concerned with the holes that are in this sign. As you can see, there's these little holes here. That really doesn't bother me. So if you wanted to, you may be able to go in with some wood filler or something and, you know, fill those in, but you would have to make sure that you got your paint to match. So I don't want to mess with that, and really it's not that big of a deal. The holes probably aren't even going to be noticeable once it's on the wreath. So now that I have my hanger cut off of my sign, I'm going to go flip my sign over. And I'm just using 2 pipe cleaners. Now I got these from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to be folding these in half just to find my center point. So there's one. And then I'm going to fold this one in half. So there's the other one. So I want these pipe cleaners to go vertically instead of horizontally. So I'm just going to find a place of where I want to put those. And I'm just taking my hot glue gun, and I am using the AdTech 2-temp, dual temp hot glue gun. I got this from Walmart. It does have a precision tip, and the glue sticks that I'm using are Gorilla glue sticks. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to plop quite a bit of hot glue down over these pipe cleaners because I want to make sure I have a really good hold for them. So I'm just going to lay that right there. And then this one, I think I'll move it up just a smidge. Add my hot glue. Like, I don't want this sign to come off, so I am putting quite a bit of hot glue back here. So I'm going to go ahead and let this glue set up, and then I will come back and we will add the sign to our wreath. Okay, so now that I have all my inner pipe cleaners snipped off, and then my sign, I went ahead and got my pipe cleaners on the back all glued on. So now I'm going to be attaching my sign onto my wreath, and I'm wanting my sign to go on the side. So to attach my wreath, I'm just going to be feeding my pipe cleaner legs down in through my wreath and then attaching it on the back side, tying them around the wreath frame. So I'm going to go ahead, and this can sometimes be a little bit difficult, but it just depends on your mesh and trying to wiggle your pipe cleaners down in through there. So if you're curious about the back of the wreath on what it looks like, there is what it looks like on the back. So it's nice and neat. So now I'm going to turn this back over. So next I'm going to be adding a bow. Okay, so now I'm going to be adding my bow. So I'm going to be feeding the pipe cleaner legs of my bow in through my mesh, just like I did with my sign. I want my bow to be kind of on the side here and sort of right up here on top. So I'm going to go ahead and start feeding my pipe cleaners down through my mesh here. And now I'm going to go ahead and refluff my bow because it is a little bit flat, so I'm just going to start making it look a little bit nicer. So I'm just going to start fluffing this out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and continue fluffing my bow, and then when I'm done fluffing my bow, we'll come back and I'll start adding some embellishments. Okay, so now I'm going to be adding some raffia, and I got this from the Dollar Tree. You get 3 little bundles in here, so I'm just going to be using some of this. And all I'm going to do is be taking 6 of the little strands of raffia. I'm going to take 6 of them. That's because I'm going to be placing the raffia in the ribbon tails that have the white hearts, because in the ribbon tails that we had that have the checkered pattern ribbon, I placed the half bows. So now I'm going to be placing little raffia bows in the ribbon tails that have the white hearts. So to do this, all I'm going to do is take one piece of my raffia, and I'm just going to start kind of folding it over my fingers, just giving it little loops. And I think I'm going to measure the loops to be about probably about 6 inches or so. So I'm just going to start kind of gathering and looping my raffia around to make a bow. So about like that. And then I'm just going to be placing this down into the pipe cleaners with the ribbon tails that has the white hearts. So I'm placing that down in my pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to secure that by giving it a couple of twists. So there is the little raffia bow. So I'm going to be doing this to every one of the ribbon tails that has the white hearts. So I'll go ahead and do another one. Like I said, I'm going to do about a 6-inch loop. So put that down there. Let's get this, just looping it around. It doesn't have to be exact. You do whatever size little bows that you want to do. And then after I get that bow made, I'm just going to come over and place this down where my ribbon tail with the white hearts is. I'm placing it in that pipe cleaner. And then I'm just going to give the pipe cleaner a couple of twists to secure it. So I'm going to go ahead and continue and go around the rest of the wreath and finish this off. Okay, so here's what it looks like so far. I've got the raffia put in there. So the last thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking some of this vase filler from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using red and white. I'm going to be using the larger foam balls, and I'm going to be placing these on the remaining pipe cleaners that are on the outside of the wreath here, where we've placed our ribbon tails and the raffia and the half bows. So the pipe cleaners that are left up is where I'm going to be placing these balls. So I'm just going to be alternating red and white. So I'm going to go ahead and put a red one on here. And I will go back through and hot glue these on. But just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I'm going to be doing with them. So here is a white one. And I'm just going to just slide that onto that pipe cleaner end. So I'm just going to alternate back and forth the red and the white on each of these pipe cleaners. So I'm just alternating red and white. Now if you don't want to add the foam balls, you don't have to. If you're not going to be adding any foam balls, you can just go ahead and cut your pipe cleaners off. So, but I just thought this needed a little bit, I need a little something else. So, this is what I chose to put on there. So, anyway, there is what it's looking like so far. So I'm going to go through and finish adding the rest of the foam balls onto the rest of the pipe cleaners. And I will come back and show you what this looks like hanging up on my door. So this is how the wreath turned out. I think it turned out super pretty. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up because that helps my channel on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I wanted to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye!